Hi, it's great to be back here with Soleira Green and our coffee chats
Yes.
here in the tea shop.
In
London, the heart of London. So if you hear lots of clattering in cups, it's not us having a little bit of a tantrum, it's the people making lots of cups of tea. But it's great being back here with you. And we were chatting a few months ago, weren't we? And we had started to talk a little about you, your background, being born in Canada, having a corporate job. And then suddenly the world's changing and you're becoming interested in energy, consciousness, why we're here, what we're doing, our possibilities. And I remember last time you then used the word that you used to describe yourself, which is visionary.
Yes.
And I just wonder if you might want to pick up from there and just tell us about what that word means and what that means to you and what it is that you do.
Yeah. Most people think about visionary as someone who's creating a future, 50, 100, a million years out. Well, for me, visionary today is creating a new now. And they're doing that in innovative, amazing, leadful, collaborative, brand new ways where we're inventing possibilities that didn't exist before, but we're doing it in quite brand new paradigms of working.
Right, and that's quite interesting. And as you describe that, it seems far more tangible in a way, isn't it? Because, as you say, in the past people talk about visionaries and think, okay, that's somebody's a fortune teller, somebody who can predict the future and so on. But you're pointing out how actually the world has changed. It's always, of course, changing.
Yeah.
And I guess on a practical level, just from hearing what you're saying, 10 years ago, would we have all thought that we're living most of our lives around computers and the growth of social networking and just the way that the world has changed so phenomenally, mobile technology. So what you're talking about isn't so abstract as it might well seem to some casual listener. Is this all part of what it is that you're talking about?
Well, I can bring it in at a couple of different levels. So one level is more abstract, some might say, not for me, it's very practical, working in consciousness and shifting the consciousness of reality and of how people live and creating new consciousness for new kinds of businesses, creating new consciousness for the way that we're interconnected, for the way that we can access the great libraries of everything that exists in the space around us, all of that kind of stuff. That's one level. Another level is very practical, on the ground, ideas, initiatives, brand new collaborations, brand new ways of creating new finance systems, new education systems, new ways of doing business, and really doing that in really brilliant, brand new ways. Those are the new visionaries for me.
And this is really interesting, isn't it? Because linking it back to the conversation that we had last time and about yourself and your background, you had, like probably most of us, lived a life where you grow up, you do your education, you start a job, you get involved in that, probably working for a company, and then lots of people experience this, don't they, where they think, hang on a minute, this isn't the whole story, there's something else, so I don't quite feel fulfilled by that. Is there a different way? Is there a way that's more meaningful for me that in which I'm able to kind of live? And I guess through the work that you do now, because I guess lots of people might describe you as a visionary coach, you help people, you run training courses, you run workshops, you've written books and so on. You're helping lots of those people who have experienced what you experienced, who are thinking, hang on a minute now, to look at life afresh and in a new way. So maybe it will be good for us to jump over to that side to talk a little bit about what's the work, the day-to-day work that you do.
Okay.
You do now.
Well, first, before I answer that, you just brought up something I want to point to. 95% of the people I work with now, if not 98, are yearning to make a difference. That change is happening from the inside out. All the institutions and the systems and everything can fight it against it all. It's all coming from here. It's going to transform everything because of the desire.
Got you. So you're saying that now 98% of people, they're wanting to make some kind of a difference. What would that figure have been when we first met 6, 7, 8 years
30%.
ago? 30%
of the people I know.
Of the people you know.
Of the people that come to me to work with, who are already quite conscious and aware and wanting to do things.
Yeah.
8 years ago, 7 years ago, 30%. Today, 95 to 98%.
And this is interesting. Let's maybe explore this thing about people wanting to make a change in the world. I wonder if the first step, lots of people just wanting to make a change, because I guess the first thing is that they are often stuck. They're working, what have you. So how do they kind of articulate that? Are people, you've indicated that people may be a little bit further down the road when they come to you.
Yeah.
So tell us.
They're players.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, there's a bigger game going on. And you could talk about it as a search for meaning or trying to make a difference. That's one level of talking about it. But I would talk about it as the calling into big playership. And you could call that leadership, but it's a whole different range of leadership than existed, a decade ago.
Got ya.
It's a whole different ball game as to what we're being called into now. So it's not just that personally we're all looking to do something meaningful and that makes a difference. It's that we are being compelled from the inside out, from the biggest part of ourselves, to be a part of what is happening right now on the planet, of a shift from how things have always been as human beings with, fairly okay potential, to amazing beings on an incredible planet in a brand new time where all bets are off, anything's possible for who we show up as, how the planet exists and dies, how we fit into cosmic life. I'm not talking about spaceships, I'm talking about, look at the Hubble telescope. The last 14 years since it went up in 1996, what we know of the cosmos today is breathtaking. I mean, I always thought of it as a black empty space. No, it's a thriving, pulsing space of star nebulas and supernovas and galaxies and amazing things. And we're beginning to tap the energy of that and to be able to understand that there's some bigger thing at play here. I'm not trying to talk about anything too deeply meaningful or religious or anything like that. That's not what I mean. It's that we're getting exposed to levels of energy and vibrational frequency that are altering us completely and giving us brand new ways to see, to know, to be, to play, to collaborate, that kind of thing. That's the key to what's happening.
Got you. And it might be nice for us to kind of explore that a little bit. So some people might be watching this thinking, okay, this is fascinating what you're saying, but maybe frightening or scary or curious. But if we look at this, there's such a richness to what you're saying, isn't it? We very often, I guess, we experience our lives. Me, I'm running my life, I'm doing my job, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and so on. And you're pointing to the fact that, yeah, that may seem to be part of it, but all of these things are interconnected. And I guess using that word that you were using there, energy. Well, the scientists know, and all sorts of people know that everything is energy. There's matter, there's form, and then there's no matter, and so what you're talking about is this thing that we don't often talk about in our day-to-day lives, this connectivity. What is this energy? What is this stuff that one thing's in this form, another thing's in that particular kind of form? I wonder, is it worth us touching on why is it that we don't have these kind of conversations about who we are, the nature of energy and form? Do you have a take on this? Because I know that you've been fascinating this for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have those conversations every day with people from countries all over the world. But it's really, there's two worlds. You could say two worlds. Same world, just different vantage points, if you will. And energetically, they're very different. So one world is the old way. It's tight, it's close, it's individualistic, it's hierarchical, it's a bit of struggle, it's a bit of smallness, always small lives and individual kind of thing. And then there's this other world that's already happening that's super connected to everybody else, to the point that we really know that now. We're beginning to find ways of living well and vibrantly inside of that. That we understand our impact on one another, on the earth itself, and our relationship with it. I'm not just talking about eco-environmental stuff. I'm talking about our true deep relationship with the thriving pulse of life that shows up in nature, in the planet, in the cosmos, in us, and how we relate differently once you're in touch with that. So the second world, I wrote an article called World 2.0.
Lovely.
So
lovely.
This is let's call it World 2.0.
Yeah.
World 2.0 is an energetic world. It has at its basis a conscious understanding of the world of energy, how you can operate vitally, vibrantly on limitless energy, not just on the personal energy you get from the food you eat, the sun you soak in, and the sleep you have, but this limitless, vibrant energy that
Yes.
sources life in a different way.
And it's fascinating what you're saying, because and I was fascinated by what you're talking about, like World 2.0. As you were saying that, it almost struck me as though you could almost look at that from the reverse, that the world is how it is, and what you're talking about is that how life is, it's how energy, and we're caught up in our own, whether it's 2.0, 3.0, whatever, and then occasionally we'll kind of wake up to what's actually going on here. So have you found that, I'm wondering, has something interesting happened? Have you found that almost people more and more people who have moved to being near where it is that you're at in terms of the conversation, more and more people are talking about energy, curious about energy, asking you about the energy, that as they begin to realise that my world, and me just being this role, doing that, isn't the whole picture. Is that what's kind of happening, this changing percentages?
Yeah, you can see that. Of course, to me, energy and consciousness are interwoven as well, so let me just make that clear. And it's substantive. It's not just about having more energy. It's a substantive relationship with the energetics of consciousness creation and how that shapes and molds our life. So, to come back to practicalities, in April I talked to a couple of guys who were telling me that they feel like they're corporate prisoners.
Yeah.
Fascinating term. Loads of people feeling that at the moment.
Yeah.
And both of them were saying there was this deep, deep yearning to go do something, even if it wasn't to change the world. One of them wanted to ride a bike across America all by himself. One of them wanted to swim the English Channel. You know, there's just this deep yearning to take yourself someplace other that you haven't been before, and to escape the confines of that which had us trapped in the past. And so part of my work, yours too, is the liberation, the unleashing, the play of having people adventure, journey, explore, discover what's new and possible in a different kind of life. And that might even mean in their jobs at work. Do you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating. Just earlier on today, I was talking to somebody who has had I've been careful about these kind of words. They had a realization, and realization is often an overly thing, but he realized that how he was living his life wasn't the whole picture, let's put it in those particular terms. But actually he's also got this kind of a sense that within his specialism, he's wanting to do things differently. Now this guy's worked in business and so on, so what you describe is what's happening for him. And I've met, again, I think what you say is so on the button, because I've met scores of people recently who've had corporate backgrounds or business backgrounds, and certainly what they're experiencing is that they feel, hang on, there's more to it. They have felt trapped. That sometimes they can't even articulate it, but there is this. Their eyes are opening. It's this fresh kind of perspective. I'm curious to know a little bit about tell us a little bit about the day-to-day work that you do today. And I'm wondering, is it different to the day-to-day work 8 years or so ago? Tell us a little bit about what kind of stuff you find yourself doing.
Okay, well, in a single day, I might coach 2 to 3 people in 2 or 3 countries, anywhere from Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Singapore, through Europe, UK, and to Canada, US. That's one of the things. I also might find myself writing articles on brand new, mind-blowing possibilities, because they just seem to want to pour through me.
Yes, I'm with you.
I also am setting up trainings and courses and teleclasses and things like that. But also, the other thing I'm at work on, I was just talking about this at lunch, because I met with a professor of strategic management, and I was telling him that I have a global network and a global company. Now, it's not huge, I'm not talking big scale, massive organization, but we have people in 8 countries and, lead things around the world. And I'm trying to build a brand new model for doing business in World 2.0.
Oh, very interesting. Oh, we must continue our conversation, because this is something that absolutely fascinates me. And I think that what I find fascinating about what you're saying, it's almost as though when people often use the words awakening, for some reason that we put some mystical thing around it, whereas actually we rub our eyes and we see what's there. I mean, I almost refer to this sometimes as you know how sometimes when it's a foggy day and you can't see 12 yards ahead of you, and suddenly the fog clears, the world hasn't changed. What was there to see is there to see, and you're more aware, you're more vibrant, and you're more connected to it. So what's lovely about what it is that you're saying is actually there's this lovely as people are becoming more aware and in tune and mindful about what's actually going on, what it is that actually energizes them, because we're not separate from all this magical stuff that it is that you're talking about. It's all happening.
We are sourcing it's happening and writing it's happening, both simultaneously, as conscious as human beings.
Yes.
But one of the things that's really changing us is the vibrational frequency is going up, and that's coming from solar flares and et cetera, you know, those kinds of things. So. Brent.
Just having some soup round the corner.
Well, we're just recording at the moment, so we'll see you in a moment. But looking forward to speaking to
you if you'd like.
Yeah, excellent. So, and as you're saying, things are just happening. Things are happening. Those vibrational energies, and funny enough, actually, the person who we're just coming in there is again experiencing these kind of these happenings. So it's what a surprise that as we're talking, more and more energy and things are kind of shifting. I wonder, before we close this particular chapter, I'm wondering, you were talking a little bit about the work that you were doing with different people, different groups of people. You might be coaching some people in different parts of the world and so on. Who are these particular people? Are these people who are wanting to coach? Are these people from business? Are they a mixture of people? Tell us about this.
Everything goes from one end of the stick to another. So it's sometimes I coach people who have big jobs in corporate. Sometimes I coach people who are coaches. Sometimes I coach people who are entrepreneurs. Sometimes I coach people who are at home, tending their garden, and looking to find their place with that. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have a niche where it's going to be this age and this, it's anybody who wants to be a player in my book.
And this is lovely, this phrase that you use, being a player, because it sounds as though just as you've found, because I found it fascinating just hearing your story, you're going about your business, literally. Going about it, and things change. So this vibrational thing it just happened, and then you found yourself, and are you surprised that you find yourself sat here and having conversations with me and conversations with professors and conversations with people all over the world? And
Not anymore.
But
I would have been 15 years ago. I would have been shocked. No way was this the possibility for my life. And then suddenly it was. Overnight, literally. It's that fast. One of the joys of being in World 2.0 is you don't have to do loads of training and lots of learning and loads of experience to make your way to what I would call a leadership position. Leadership is such a good word. To a leaderful, co-creative, collaborative relationship to the new creations. And so it can happen almost like a download. And that's another wonderful piece about it that I love. It's more than an awakening, I would say. It's more like a coming to life at the biggest levels of ourselves. And so many people have known it from the time they were little kids. I knew I was here for something, but I didn't know what it was, and suddenly, kabang. There we are.
Yes.
And now they're looking like, well, how do I make sense of this? Where do I put it? How do I go forward? Well, how do I make money? That's one of my specialties.
I think this is going to be a lovely area to pick up from next time, because I think this is a lovely point, because we certainly know that lots of people are getting this feeling, and often the feeling, hang on a minute, where are we at? What am I at? What can I do? What can I contribute? How can I be? And then lots of people, as you say, are wondering, okay, well, what can I do with it? Or where should I be at? Or how can I be true to me, given what these shifts seem to be in me? I'm so looking forward to continuing our conversation and exploring what's going on. So again, a joy to chat to you, and looking forward. Can't wait to our next chat. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you.